Welcome to another edition of the podcast known as Blending the Family. I am your host, Tommy Maloney. Before we get into the details, the nitty-gritty of this episode, my new book. So excited to say that. My new book, My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m. is in pre-sale mode right now. So head over to the website, www.mydadsadvicebook.com. That's www.mydadsadvicebook.com and pre-order the book. Please, moms, please don't let the title of the book, My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m. fool you. I actually wrote this book with a vision of a mom. I wrote this book, yes, to showcase that there are good dads out there, and yes, many of us ex-husbands are crappy ex-husbands, but that's not the point. The point of the book is to talk about positive fatherhood, and this is why I wrote the book specifically for moms. Great stories in there talking about being raised by a single mom. I talk about the advice my dad gave me, and I also talk about when I was a stay-at-home dad and the life lessons I learned that I've taken, and some of them I've re-engineered. So there you go. My Dad's Advice book.com. All right. This episode is another little replay as we get into the end of the year. Jide Gamu is the founder of iFOURcore. Let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Do you believe in love at first sight? Well, Jide's app is going to help you. And actually, this is one of the episodes of 2020 that a lot of people loved. A lot of people love this episode. So we're going to replay this episode, which was actually originally episode 174 back in October. And a few other things we talked about. Love at first sight. Who taught you how to date? I thought that was a great question. Especially as a parent, what is your role to help our kids, go through those dating processes, those hurdles, things like that. So there you go. So excited to share this episode again with you of Jide Gamu's iFOURcore app, and I believe we talk about when that app is supposed to come out. It's supposed to come out hopefully spring of 2021. I was hoping it would be wonderful to come out on Valentine's Day, but stay tuned. We might have an update from him in the coming months. So there you go. Episode 174 was when this originally aired back in October. So there you go. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your walking of your dog, or maybe you're doing Pilates, or maybe you're trying to take a nap, or maybe you're on an airplane. I don't know. I'm excited to share the podcast with you. And as Terry Crews would say, your success is my success. Bye. There we go. Whew. All right, Jide.
There you go. It's Jide. Here we go. Give me 1 second. There is something I want to go and grab real quick from upstairs. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So we hit record and everybody leaves. That's okay. It gives me time to drink more water. I could break out into song, but I know the listeners don't want that. This is me taking notes. I'm also sweating right now because I have the office closed.
All right.
Feel better now?
Yeah, I had to grab some real quick.
Was it some booze? Because I get that a lot from the guests going, oh gosh, I need another round.
Oh no, no. It was actually I had similar how when I started doing I4, you get this thought in the morning and you talk about it, and then at some point you have to write it down. When I wrote
Oh,
it down, really started to take flight. So, but when you mentioned that, we talked what you just said a few minutes ago, I was like, yeah, I need to go and get that.
so let's talk about I4. I am very, very intrigued of what you're trying to do, and I'm going to guess at this moment in time, Jide, you're not going to give me again the four pillars.
No, I'm not gonna. Even though it is patent pending and I'm good, I'm not gonna get the four pillars just yet. There is a area of mystery that we're creating, and those four pillars are definitely an area of mystery. But I can speak around them.
Well, and that's why I am so excited to have you here is to be able to talk about I4 and the possibility of really changing uh, the world of dating, the world of marriage, and even the world of divorce. So let's try our best. I know this is like you're on secret double probation to really go into it, but what is I4 and how did you come up with this idea?
Um, so I can take you down a few different rabbit holes. We're talking about I4. Uh, One I can say is this is what I would say, and this is how I would start. And they're probably going to kick my butt for talking about it this way, because I'm actually getting ready to do a book as well that will talk similar like this. But um, so let's let's go back in time. A long, long, long time ago, there was a point in which relationships worked in this manner. A guy would see some female, she'd probably be young, and he'd like her, and he would go to her parents, and he'd bring a cow along with him, and he'd say, "Hey, I will take your daughter. She'll be my wife, and here's a cow." And the parents would be like, "Oh, you're gonna treat her good. All right, put her to work. Here, she's good. We raised her right. Let me get that cow. Here's my daughter." And boom, there it is. She knows what she's supposed to do. She has her line of work, and he has his line of work, which is obviously like provision and working. And she would be at home taking care of kids and cleaning and cooking and so on and so forth. And that would be it. And and maybe some of them grew to maybe she grew to love him, maybe because he was gentle and kind, or maybe and maybe he grew to love her. Possibility, possibly not. Um, Over time, uh, that changed. When if you think about even just the work environment, there was a point in which there's a person. If I was a banker, I owned a banking business, and these are the requirements that I put out. This is what we need. Honestly, anybody could come and get that job as long as they were willing to work hard. And for them, the benefit was they were getting money. For the banker that put out the requirement, and he was like, "Hey, they're filling this requirement." And for the worker, that's it. As I'm working, I get paid, and I'm satisfied because I'm taking care of my family. Well, when you fast forward to now, that's changed. You may be the banker and you may put out this requirement, but the person that you're interviewing may not like you. You may not fit their requirements. I have this, maybe I've got this degree and this is what I'm passionate about. And I don't want to work a dead end job for the rest of my life just to make money. And then when I'm 50 and 60, I'm looking back over my life and that's all I did is I made money, and I didn't do anything to work towards my purpose or my passion. So, now the requirements or the interviewer is also being interviewed by the interviewee. And so now it has to be a perfect match between both individuals, right? Now that perfect match isn't easy. If you think about it in the job setting, you know, if if the if I am the interviewee and I am just really looking to get some experience, maybe get some classes done and get them paid for by the interviewer. Well, I'm going to say whatever I need to say to just get the job and get those classes. But as the interviewer, we see this person as talented. We're looking for longevity. We're looking for, we're looking to invest into you so that you can be a integral part of this company. And we want a return on our investment, basically. Well, after from the interviewee's perspective, after they get those classes that the interviewer has invested, now they're ready to jump into the next, whatever it is that they wanted to do, the next professional development, the job that may supply that. And now the interviewer is stuck. They've invested all this money, and now they're back to square one, looking for somebody that will grow with the company. Essentially, that's the same thing that happens in relationships. One, it's hard to find that perfect match of requirements on both ends, where the datee is happy with the requirements that the dater fulfills, and the dater, or whoever is the other dating person, is also happy with the requirements that the datee fulfills. It's not as easy as it used to be a long time ago. There are things that women want and there are things that men want, and it's not easy to find that. So we go along this lifelong journey of finding people that either fit some of the requirements and will jump into a relationship, and then at some point when we identify that those requirements aren't at 100%, and we've invested a whole bunch, we either stay in because of the investment, or we jump ship because we ultimately want love. We want the real essence of love. Now, along that journey, there's a whole bunch of scars that are built, because when I'm 19, I'm 20, when I'm 30, I don't know the requirements of what I need when I'm 40 and 50, or when I'm 60. Or when I'm 20, I don't know what the requirements are, what I need when I'm 30. They change over time. Essentially, what I created is a roadmap that explains what the requirements are that we want out of a relationship, regardless of time, for both ends. And now you have the ability to look at and say, hey, these are my requirements. And then not only are these my requirements, how well do I measure up when it comes to the requirements of someone else? And how do I get better at fulfilling these requirements? Essentially, that's what the app does. Another way to, or what that's what I'm building. Another way to look at that is, if I'm hungry, I say I want a burger. Well, I'm going to go to McDonald's because I want a burger. And as I pull up to the drive-through, only thing I'm thinking about is a burger. But when I see the menu, I see number one is the burger, but now I see number 11 has a salad. Well, the only reason I knew that there was the salad, now I have to make this conscious decision to actually get the burger, but I know I need that salad. The only reason I knew that salad was there is because of the menu. Well, I'm supplying people with the menu to now make that conscious decision to say, hey, maybe there's some other things that I should be looking at. Maybe there's something else that I need.
So is I4 another version of a dating app, but with more, what do I want to say, algorithms developed within it, so you're not wasting time of, I want that hamburger and that's the only thing I want. Oh, chicken nuggets. Oh, fillet of fish.
Hmm.
Is it
It
is
is.
it is it adding more definitive choices for you? Am I even close?
To a point, I think it's zeroing in on what it is that I actually need and want. versus just, looking at, physical appearance and say, hey, let's just check it out. It's keeping it's tracking the data of what do I suck at? There's nothing in any of these apps that say, if I can say that I'm the perfect gentleman, right? And if I'm on Match.com or any other app, I'm the perfect gentleman, and then a survey, that's what I filled out, and then they match me with people based off of what I say that I am. But there's nothing to say that I'm the perfect gentleman. I may not be the perfect gentleman. There's nothing that will help me to improve once I identify that I'm not the perfect gentleman. There's nothing there that helps me improve. In essence, the difference between this app and any other app is every other app is just going to give you prospects of who to date. It just give you options of who to date. This app will teach you how to date. Because if I asked you today, who taught you how to date? Your answer is probably going to be just like everybody else that asked that to, and it's going to be like, no one. I taught myself by hitting my head. Well, the problem is every time that you hit your head, the next person that you go on a date with, you see them through the scar of all the heads, all the times if you hit your head, you see them through those scars. And so you don't really see the actual person. So you have to really, one, you have to work on self. So you're using this windshield wiper method to clear out, everything that you've thought about the past. So everyone gets a new slate to start on. And then two, you also have to look at, how am I measuring up? And am I getting better or am I getting worse?
So can you give us examples of how I4 is different than every other dating app when it comes to, like, for your example, how does the app know that I'm a nice person, that I'm chivalrous, um again, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. Essentially, it's going to be, and it's without giving up too much information. Essentially, it's based off of the reviews of other people, your dating behavior, your reviews. Um, I could say it without giving up too much. That it's kind of like having a dating credit score,
A
right?
dating credit
And
score.
as you go on
So
dates, it's no different than.
so okay, because the way I was starting to picture it, um, was more of, I think there used, I don't know if it's still around. There was an app that so let's say, well, here, I'll give you an example. I dated a girl for a while. She sent me the link to this app because it was asking me questions on how she is as, I don't know, as a former ex-girlfriend or as a person.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's again where I'm trying to wrap my head around with your app. Is that, is it similar to that? Is it going to also ask, my network to say, hey, Tommy, answer these questions about, when was the last time you lost your temper? When was the last time hit somebody? That's how I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah. It won't necessarily go that far in the past to ask people, because we also forget things. So it's more of the live behavior. So if I go on a date, this app is going to prompt me to give feedback right afterwards. Um, Now the other person doesn't receive that feedback until they've given feedback as well.
Okay.
So yes, it is based off of feedback in that way, to a point. But yeah, it is based off feedback. Now again, you're just like your similar to like your credit score. Well, I guess I couldn't say it's about a credit score, but one person isn't going to throw you. It's just going to throw you way off, right? Because just one person's perspective isn't always valid. But when you find some commonalities between a number of perspectives, now that can make some changes in your score.
So, what was the
Um,
reason behind this app? What was your dating frustration, or others in your group that were having uh, bad dating experience? Where did I4 come from?
um, Uh, this is just giving a small history about how I came up. So I'm an innovator. I have two things. I'm talented at innovating and coming up with different ideas, and then two, I've been extremely passionate about the psychology of love, the science of love. And one day I was in a Lean Six Sigma course, and as you know, with Lean Six Sigma, you got to come with a problem to solve.
Right.
Um, so for me, I'm in the army. I solve army problems day in and day out. In regards to my area of work. But I wanted to solve a real problem, something that would be a challenge. And I thought to myself, I said, I'm going to solve relationships. And so as I came up with this model, the things that I obviously can't discuss, I took it through the course, and the instructors would check back on me. And at the end of the course, they came back and they said, you need to patent this. And at the time, I still didn't think anything about it. It wasn't that important. I went to another executive course. I used it there. And another day came, just randomly, and my innovation happens normally in the morning. I started really thinking about it. And I went to work, went to the whiteboard, and I asked my coworkers, and we're just talking about it. And they asked a few questions, punched a few holes, and I sealed those holes and said, these are the answers. And essentially said, yeah, this is big. At one point, one of my boys was like, yo, this is just a big player scheme. I said, no, 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 it's not. It's genius. I'm trying to explain it. And over time, you know, it grew wings. His wife, paid attention to it, and they said, yeah, hey, uh, this is actually good. They enjoyed the presentation. That presentation I enjoyed giving. It was super fun. But basically, when I decided to actually take it serious and go along the lines of patenting it, and again, this was just a model. I called an attorney, and he said, well, you can't patent an idea. It either has to be in a book or an app. And so that's when the app, because I'm not a big writer, I'm not a big book person, but that's when the idea of creating the app came about. And some friends, they had someone that can help me design it, and she helped me design it. And it's just taking wings from there. And yeah, I mean, I have an awesome team that's been helping me out as well. It's just been growing and consistently. Every day has been more that I've been adding to it, just based off of my perspective of dating. The things that we do. Honestly, this concept isn't anything that is new. It's just something that we don't track. We don't think about. We just do it unconsciously. And I just kind of brought it to the forefront, and help to be able to measure for growth.
So, what are, without being too specific, but what was happening in your dating life that wasn't positive experiences to help create this app?
Oh man, that's an easy answer. So my relationships have been from the time I was probably like 16, 17, 18. Yeah, my relationships didn't last long. Um, they, I remember there's two instances that were actually pretty funny. One of my boys would say, "Man, girls are like a milk carton. They have an expiration date. They didn't last beyond 2 weeks." I remember that quite vividly. And then what I remember, it was just that I would meet somebody, and there was always a time where things were great, and then there was always something that I realized that just wasn't there, and it was something super small. So I'm gonna give a good example. So I remember there was a girl that I was dating, and my friends met her, and everything was cool. And then obviously there was a point to where I wasn't talking to her anymore. My friends asked, me, "Yo, so what? Why did you stop talking to her?" I said, "Remember that time I brought her over, and She had a watch on her left arm, and then she had like 100 bracelets. I was exaggerating, but she had a whole bunch of bracelets also on that same arm, and nothing was on her right arm. I was like, that's it. They were like, "Are you serious? That's why you broke over her?" And I was like, "No, you don't understand." I was like, "To me, that means that she's uncoordinated." I was like, I'm colorblind. I'm partially colorblind, and so when it comes to like picking out like social outfits and things and like matching clothes really well, I need some help. And she's uncoordinated, so she can't help me. And they clowned me for so long for that, like because it was just so simple, that I was so picky to break up with a girl for that.
Yeah, you deserve to get clowned after that one. And all I'm thinking right now is when you say that you're colorblind, I'm guessing that you thought you were joining the Navy and you end up joining the Army instead. That's why.
That's actually when I found out that I was partially colorblind. I didn't know before then. So when this happened, I didn't realize I was colorblind. I just knew that I wasn't really good at coordinating colors. It's funny. But when I look back at that now, within the last couple of years, I really drew some true understanding upon what my thought process was back then. So what I was really equating, or what I was really pulling out, was that I need someone who is the yin to my yang in the areas that I may be deficient in. I need someone that can help to leverage the areas that I suck at. She needs to be better in the areas that I'm great at. Maybe she's not so great at, so that we can help each other out. We all need somebody that comes into our lives that has the potential to help us to either help us see something that we wouldn't have saw had we not met them, or two, help us to achieve a particular goal a lot faster because of their abilities. Right? That's any marriage, any successful marriage. They have those two qualities. I was actually, for me, that was just something on a very, very simplistic level, but it was something that was actually, it's really important when it comes to relationships. If you enter into relationships and you do not grow based up from your partner, you're in the wrong relationship.
Very true. That is very true. And the example I can use is after, well, I mean, I think my wife was divorced a year before I was, and I did watch her grow a lot faster than
Mm-hmm.
me. And I guess it could also be, that old standard, girls are mature faster than
Yeah, yeah.
guys, and especially after a divorce. um, I, I look at that as exactly what you're saying, that if you're not growing within the relationship, and because I got to observe her growing after her divorce and her maturing a little bit, it was more of a dimmer switch than a full light bulb came on with me, saying I need to be more like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so the other thing too, I remember, and I can't remember if it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar talked about relationships, and the standard people think that when you're in a relationship, it's 50-50. Well, it's not really 50-50. It's, you want to make sure both partners are committed 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Yeah, I would say that there is a portion to a relationship that is 50-50. And the reason why I say that is that, if you are always the one pulling your partner up, at some point that gets monotonous and it gets tiresome. You don't want to always be the person that's the one pulling your partner up. You want to be able to go back and forth. There's sometimes your partner's pulling you up. There's sometimes I'm pulling my partner up. We go back and forth. That's true partnership, right? If it's just one way, Well, then it's just one leader and one follower. That's what essentially that's what women have been fighting against, this in this last decade. That they bring something to the table and they don't want to have to always be in the followership position, right? They want any person that's in the followership position wants to feel like they bring something to the table, that they're valued, that they have something of value. If they have something of value, then sometimes they're in a leadership position, right? So it and if I'm always in a leadership position, it's like some people say, there are some people out there that are super super strong, and they're always strong, they're always leading, but then they feel like people will expect them to always be that strong, and when they're not as strong, or when they're having some weak moments, people don't give them the empathy to be able to feel weak at the time, to kind of take the back seat and someone else, drive, get in the driver's seat. And when you don't feel that you have that, man, it's like it's like you're alone and you can't depend on somebody. That's not a relationship. And that
I'm
will
going to give you I'm going to give you an example. When my wife and I got married, um, the one thing that we really didn't establish, and this goes out to any couple, regardless if you've been married before or not, and that is the finances.
Mhm.
As far as who's going to be in charge of the finance, or let me rephrase that: you both should be in charge of the finances, making sure again it's a team effort. Well,
Mhm.
my wife and I really missed that conversation, and I was so used to, um, in my previous marriage, my former spouse, she is a very analytical person.
Uh-huh.
She has accounting degree. She was, the one responsible for all the finances. And so when I got remarried, my expectation, unfortunately, was, well, this is how it was in my past marriage. This is how it's going to be in this marriage. And boy, was I wrong.
I bet. I bet. I bet.
Oh, big time.
I know. She was like, what are you about to do? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're going to have discussions. What? What? Will there be booze involved? Because that's the only reason I'm coming to a financial discussion.
Yeah. 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 Uh, Similar to that, I was having a discussion with a friend, and she was talking about how she was raised to be a nurturing woman. She was raised to cook, to clean, to all the things that some people put women in the box of doing. And so when she went into her marriage, that's what she did. Um, and obviously well, not obviously, but her marriage didn't last. um, when she came out of that, what she realized was that when you go into a marriage, you can't come in saying, this is my role and this is your role. That sometimes you may meet somebody, like myself. I was raised in a single parent household. At a young age, I had to wash my own clothes. I was ironing my own clothes. I was picking weeds. I had a full-time job when I was 7 years old. So, me getting into a relationship and expecting someone to wash my clothes or clean for me, that's unheard of. I can do that myself. Matter of fact, it feels kind of weird. So someone coming into a relationship with me, or as she explained, you have to be able to figure out, what areas need assistance. You have to come in and analyze. you know if you come into a job, if you're a leader and you come into a new job as a supervisor, you just can't come in and be like and change everything up, because you're not going to gain the followership of your employees, because they're used to something. You have to come in, sit back, analyze, ask questions, figure out what's going on, and then find areas where maybe the team can improve based off of your historical knowledge. And, and you have to sell that, right? It's the same thing in a relationship. Everything isn't just cookie cutter.
Exactly. So I want to go back to, so how is the app going to benefit the world of dating, the world of, and let's say reversing the world of divorce? What is it that's going to really make your app special?
I'll kind of put this out here as an idea, right? So uh, my the app and the model that I created is not going to it's not going to give you I separate these two things, right? There is how a relationship works, you know, a relationship that works at its greatest capacity, not at its greatest capacity, but a high capacity. It's working efficiently. And then there is love. There's the mechanics of a relationship, and then there's love. You know, like the song "What's Love Got to Do with It." There's the mechanics of relationship, and then there's love. Those are two different things. What I have developed is the mechanics of how a relationship works, how you can measure it, how you can be efficient in it, and be great, right? But that's totally different from love. Totally different from love. Love requires it's going to require some depth. It's way too much to really dive into at this point, but love doesn't care about the mechanics. Love doesn't care about anything. Love is just it, and that's a whole nother discussion. Really diving into love. I don't want to dive too deep, but if that answers the question, really, essentially, I4 gives you the mechanics of a working relationship, and it helps you to have that. There are some people I believe I believe it's in the 90% percentile of Americans I believe are in marriages where they're not completely happy. I think that you more than often you find where there's a relationship where it's the man or the woman, one of them loves the other more than the other. Maybe one of them loves their partner unconditionally and the other one loves their partner because their partner loves them unconditionally, which means that their love for their partner is conditional of their partner's love. The problem with that is if the partner that doesn't love their partner unconditionally, if they happen to run into the person not just by chance, just through work or something, if they happen to run into somebody that they actually identify that they love that person unconditionally, now they're stuck in a situation where they have to choose between the person that they love unconditionally and the person who loves them unconditionally. If there was any reason why I would say the divorce rates are so high, it's because of that. Because we get into relationships, and the reason why we stay in those relationships is because of you know particular reasons. We didn't get into it for the right reasons. There was something that was there that we said, hey, this is great, and or maybe two or three things that were great, but the fourth one we turned a blind eye to because we knew it was there, but we just didn't pay attention to because these other three things were great. And because we're so fixated on marriage, the end result, what I kind of call the championship, right? So we'll get into a marriage because we want to be married. All of us want love. We all want to be happy. So we'll even sacrifice some of the key requirements that we need in order to have a working relationship, just to have a relationship. Well, that won't last. So essentially, what I4 would be is it's going to tell you, hey, you're getting into this relationship, and you're getting to this into this relationship knowing that you're not fulfilling all your requirements. And so there is a possibility that this may not work. It's a high possibility.
Jade, do you believe in love at first sight?
I do. Actually, I sure do. I do. I believe love is totally blind.
So do you feel that uh, do you feel that not just I'm going to say when I say the world of apps, I'm just going to cover all the dating apps. Do you feel, and this might be a dumb question to an app developer, but do you feel that the world of apps are taking a little bit of the humanality of it,
That they're taking the humanality
of dating, because we're so used to swiping left, swiping right, um, that majority of the apps you're looking at a picture, you're you're not really getting to know that person, that I'm gonna take we out of it because I'm happily married. I'm in your 10 percentile, by the way. I
that's
hope.
great.
Um, I say I hope because I don't want to be speaking for my wife, but it just seems that with the younger generation, that culture of it is so easy, any day, any time of the hour, you can just get on any dating app and go find quote unquote love.
So I'm gonna go real deep on this, and not everybody is gonna get this. This is what I had come up with just the other day. I'm gonna say yes to your. I'm gonna answer your question with yes. I think that we have gotten so far away from what the true essence of love is, that it's hard to get in that upper 10 percentile area. We are, and but we're comfortable with that. Everything around us is fixated on the things that push us further and further away from true love. Say it like this. Um, I believe that, and I'm not. I'm still doing research on this, and this is just this is theory. Okay. Um, I believe that attraction is taught. It's a learned behavior. Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but I can think back. Maybe it's for my generation. Maybe it's music videos. Maybe it's the media. But I was taught what beauty is. Right. I am taught, or I see what type of lifestyle I want in my future. So, and I'm just going to name those two, but because I've been taught what beauty is and what type of lifestyle I want, the person that I meet now has to fit in those requirements, right? Even if they're right for me. So when I was going back, when I talked and I separated, I separated the requirements of love. I mean, requirements of of a working relationship and love. If I'm talking about the requirements of a working relationship, essentially what that means is I meet a person and I love them for what they can do for me, if that makes sense. If I love them for what they can do for me, that means that your beauty makes me feel this way. The amount of money that you make with us partnered together, we can fit this type of lifestyle. These things that you do makes me feel this particular way, which means I don't necessarily love you. I love what you have. And when I find the person that has everything that I'm looking for as far as the have, that's the person that I'll be in a relationship with. Now, that is totally different from love, because love is I love you for you. An example of loving you for you would be, say for instance, I I love giving back. I love service. I am so passionate and purpose filled with service that I will give my last dime to a person that is in need of help. Now, a girl comes along and she sees me working in that passion, in that field of giving and just truly loving, that she wants to give to me because I don't have anything left because I've given it all up. What she identifies is not necessarily, and you're probably, if you have any spiritual background, you've probably heard this term before. It's not me that she's fell in love with, it's the love in me that she's fell in love with. And it's that she's not that she's fell in love with it, it's that she identifies with it because that love is also in her, right? I don't know if you're getting this, if you're tracking this. Does this make sense? Or am I in
It may.
Lululand?
Oh, no, no, no. I'm sitting here nodding my head, and but here's where. So, for example, my in-laws were just in town, and
Mm-hmm.
they are they've been married over 55 years, and I'm drawing a blank. I think they're coming up on 58 years in November. I could be a year wrong, but anyway, on this past Sunday, our church, like many other churches, do their service online, and
Mm-hmm.
we put it up on the TV, and our pastor was talking about marriage and specifically actually divorce and where divorce fits in the Bible. And later on, um, there have been many times, Jade, where right after church, this is what I love my wife. I really do. I have to mention this. But one of my little pet peeves, she's not home yet, luckily, is right after church service, we'll get in the car, we'll start pulling out of the driveway of church, and we'll start driving home. And she'll say, "So, what'd you think of the message?" I'm like, uh, can I like retain it a little bit? Can I decompress first?
Yeah.
So we were upstairs in the kitchen late Sunday afternoon, and I said to my in-laws, I said, "What did you two think of the message?" Because I've loved their perspective. I love, hearing from their generation about marriage and dating, and from time to time I try and stay away from it, but a little bit of politics just to push their buttons. But I wanted to hear their perspective about, since they've been married 55 plus years, and they said they loved the message because their takeaway was, even though they've been married for 50 plus years, they're still learning from each other each and every day.
Yeah.
That is why I was asking about taking the humanality out of apps, because I, I don't know, if my wife, and I know it's never going to happen. I know we're committed,
Uh-huh.
or eventually she'll have me committed, but that we won't get divorced. And if I got divorced, I don't know if I could get on an app. I don't think I could start swiping left and right. I need to be that old school guy. I need to go. I don't want to. I don't want to say go back to the bars, but that's what everybody's thinking. But
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. I don't know. I just don't know if an app is going to help find me. And quite honestly, if I got divorced, I would never get married again anyway.
Oh, no. So, what you're saying is understandable. There are a lot of people who are in their, in the upper ages that are facing divorce and happening to walk into the getting back into the dating scene, and the dating scene has changed so much, and it can be very monotonous and tiresome. It's an emotional roller coaster depending on how you view dating. you know Again, I see dating more so as a science. It's the study, right? It's a study of
Mhm.
not only who you meet, but of yourself. And if you ever stop growing, what's the point of living? If you stop learning, what's the point of living? It's the whole point of life. As you just said it, you're always going to be learning about your partner, and you're also always going to be learning about yourself if you're open to it. Are you open to the truths about yourself, and the new things about yourself? You see things every day. You go through different things every day. Paying attention to your changes is important. You're going to be different. So, uh, going back into the dating phase is there's nothing wrong with that. And I will also add that, say for instance, if things are different, and there are some people who face this situation, and it is unfortunate. You find the person that you love, and both of you guys are in love, but then your partner passes away. Do you sit back and say, well, I'm never going to date it again, because that was no one could ever meet the criteria that I found in my wife. No one can match that level of love. So I used to run this organization called BarberShop Talk, and it was a group of men. We sat around and we were talking about, that was a question. It was like, hey, is there only one out there for you? And you got various answers, and one gentleman said, no, I don't believe that. And I rephrased the question. I said, well, if you were to, obviously, kind of like this, if your wife was to pass away, would you ever remarry? And his answer was interesting. He said he believed when he got married, there were multiple people who he could have decided to marry. He chose one, and that's who he was committed to. Does that mean that there couldn't be someone else? Nah, it doesn't mean it. But there is someone out there that deserves your love. There's someone out there that deserves the love that you have to offer. And essentially, that's what it becomes about. What can you give to someone? Not about what you can take, but what can you give? And if you find someone that deserves the love that you have to offer, why hold that back? What's the point of having knowledge? What's the point of having love that you have harnessed inside you if you're not willing to give it or share it? It's important. It's like you can't even bottling up, finding the first piece about finding love is identifying love in yourself, right? And a part of that is finding what your passion or your purpose is. And once you find that, it's so you want to give it, you want to share it. It's hard to hold it down and keep it in. You just can't. It's like this bottled up soda that's ready to burst. You want to share it, right? If you haven't found that inside yourself, then you wouldn't know what that feeling is like. And you'll probably want to keep it to yourself, but you'll want to get out, and you'll want to share it, and you'll want to give it, and you don't want to just hold that in. Again, if you have the opportunity to love, whether it's for a second, a minute, a day, or a year, take advantage of it and appreciate it. Yeah, I said it before, and I'll say again, the biggest thing, the number one quality that makes any relationship work, and it's applied even uh, within this model, is appreciation. And the appreciation for life and the time that you have on this earth. Don't shortchange yourself by holding anything in. Give it. And if it's stepping back out into the dating world to learn about yourself, to be able to give more, hey, uh, do it. Do it.
So when's the app officially coming out?
Oh man, we are, fingers crossed. We're hoping about we're hoping for about the March April timeframe of 2021. Um, that's what time we're hoping for. We're currently in the middle of doing a book, and that'll be the first one thing that comes out before the app, and that'll be really interesting. You'll be able to see a lot of correlations between a number of the things that I've talked about in the book, and you'll get a better understanding of why the app is important.
Too bad you can't launch it like on Valentine's Day.
I know,
Come
man.
on, that's marketing 101 today.
I
That is
know.
marketing 101.
I know. I'll tell you that initially that was the plan. It was the plan to March. I mean, to launch on Valentine's Day. But as you know, I'm not in control. There are things that just happen that timelines get pushed. and it just had to get pushed. But or if I could launch in February on Valentine's Day, best believe I will. But I think it's looking more so around the March, April, May timeframe.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
I'm really excited for you, Jide, and I'm really looking forward to getting to hear eventually. Now, the four pillars will be in the book, right?
The four pillars will be in the book.
All right. So you got to let me know. You got to send me a copy of the book because I want to be able to read the four pillars, get you back on the podcast. We can talk about the four pillars, the book, and then the launching of the i4 app. So, Jade, before I give you the last question, how can the listeners get a hold of you, find out more about what's going on with the book, finding out what's going on with the app?
Go to iFOURcore.com. I4 is iFOUR, CORE.com. From there are links. Obviously, from there we'll be able to post and you can put in your information, you can put in your email address, and you'll stay updated on what's going on. But then you can also follow our Instagram page. It's at i4core. We have a Facebook page. We just started a Twitter, so you can follow the Twitter as well. i4core is where you can look and you'll find us just about anywhere.
So, Jade, what has changed for you in the past 12 months?
Um, you know what? Dating has changed. Um, and I started implementing the model even in my dating and my relationships, um, and it's made dating so unique. Well, obviously, one of the first questions when they find out that I'm a dating and relationship analyst, and you're like, "Oh, you're analyzing me. Oh, you're." I'm like, always analyzing each other, but here are some things that we can do to ensure that you know whether we whether we're successful or we part and go our separate ways, that we'll appreciate the time that we got to spend with each other, and we'll definitely grow. And if anything, I can say that that has been super beneficial. Aside from, and what I would compare it to is probably the girl that I dated a long time ago that had the bracelets and the watch on, uh, and it ended up not working out. She has no idea why. But now we get why, and I even get why. I'm not to say even as a dating and relationship analyst, I'm not perfect, but I'm learning, and I'm able to learn. That's been the biggest thing. It's been fun. I've been learning so much.
What's the one thing you've learned about yourself that you didn't know before starting this project?
Um, whew, when it comes to choosing where I go on a date, that's changed so much. Um, where I go on a date and how prepared I am, the things that I like to do, um, that sometimes I need some assistance to be able to get outside my box. And so um, one thing I've met some people who are like they're like, listen, they'll see. There was one in particular female that I went on a date with, and she was so outdoorsy. She was go getter. She was like, as I came up with a particular date, she added on to it, and she was like, hey, listen, just make sure you bring some shoes that you can get dirty with. Like it was so, and I realized that where my, I'm gonna call it a deficiency, um, but where I can improve in, when it comes to getting out and doing some things that I hadn't done before, or creating an awesome date. Um, that's the area that, and I can't really talk about it, but it's definitely one of the four pillars. Which area where I can improve in. You'll hear more about that later on.
I'm telling you, Jade, I want you back. I want to, I'm telling you, You have to send me a copy of the book because I want to read how, because I think even as I formulate it in my head, I'm sure your book will help not just people in the dating process, but people that are already married and how to improve their relationship as well.
It will. It will. The scary part about it, one, let me say that, this book is going to even challenge the love languages. It's going to challenge that. Someone just brought that up recently. It's going to challenge that. But two, the hard pill to swallow is that people will identify and understand that maybe they're possibly in a marriage that they're not supposed to be in, right? So before
Hmm.
we this book, this app, this realization, this thing it will before we move in a direction where we are increasing the success rate of marriages, we will possibly move back, and it will probably open some eyes up and push people to have the confidence to maybe get a divorce. We sometimes we don't have the confidence to say this isn't the right situation because either we've gotten comfortable, or because we just want that end result so bad. And we just suffer a lot. And it takes a lot of confidence to say, you know what, I'm not happy and I want to be happy. I do want love. And I'm willing to step out and develop some courage to go back out there and start over. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for a lot of people. But when the data is in front of you, you can't deny it. You can't deny it. And so that's going to be the hard part, unfortunately, but it'll prove itself to be worth it.
Well, Jade, number one, before I forget, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
my wife is former Army as well, so she spent some time deployed as well. So um, I'm so looking forward to the next phase, the book, the app, and just learning more about how to improve relationships. But at the same time, but please go to the show notes because Jade is not just a tech relationship person. He really is all about giving back and service. And uh, definitely next time I definitely, we can talk about barbershop talk, women's worth, youth tree, how much you do believe in giving back. So I, thanks for your time. I am just honored that you came on.
Thank you. Thank you. I truly appreciate you taking the time to even meet with me. I definitely appreciate it.